the show. This is episode 9 of the Einstein's PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Miller, and today I'm going to be bringing you the new releases, the deals, and the news of the week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So I'm going to start off with some deals. From Amazon, you can get $23 Wolfenstein: The New Order. You can also pick up The Wolf Among Us for $20. From GameStop, for $20 you can pick up The Walking Dead Season 1. And last, from Amazon, for $40 you can get Dragon Age Inquisition. This week is jam-packed with releases. The next installment in the Spring Fever brings lots of good titles, including Battlefield Hardline, Bladestorm Nightmare, Cabela's African Adventures, Jamestown Plus, and Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, which includes the episode Disguise Final Fantasy 15 demo, which is said to be about 3 hours long. And for our news this week, a few games have been set back, including the Homefront: The Revolution and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Those have been set back to 2016. Bloodborne has been announced to have a new game plus mode with added difficulty. Yay, a From Software game with added difficulty. And Magicka 2 has been announced to set on release for 2015, May 26th, on PlayStation 4. Last up are PS4 System Update 2.50, codename Yukimura. And here are some of the features. It includes 60 frames per second, remote play, and share play. It includes the feature of a screenshot is automatically taken whenever you earn a trophy. And the ability to delete a 0% trophy game off your trophy list is available. It also includes accessibility options such as button remapping, higher contrast user interface, bolder fonts, and inverted colors. So that about wraps it up for our new releases, deals, and news of the week. So without further ado, now time for our weekly topic. This week we will be talking about, this is part 1 of a part 2 series. We will be talking about what Sony has going for them in 2015. And next week's episode will be about what they have going for them in 2016. So let's jump right into this one. So I'm going to tell you guys a list of games that I have compiled that are set to release in 2015 still. And I'm also going to give you a list of games that are questionably set to release and some smaller games that the PlayStation 4 has in their library coming up. So to start it off with our big games, we have Mortal Kombat 10, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Batman Arkham Knight, The Elder Scrolls Online, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Final Fantasy 14, Heavensward, Battleborn, Hellblade, King's Quest, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Drawn to Death. And then for some questionable games that I think have the possibility of releasing, but because of their scale or because of their ambition, I think that they will not be able to release this year. Those 3 games are Rainbow Six Siege and The Division, both Tom Clancy games, and Star Wars Battlefront 3. The reason I don't think The Division will make it out this year is because of its huge open world scale and how their ambition is large enough for where they have to delay it just to get it to be polished and what they want it to be in the final product. I think the Rainbow Six Siege will be delayed because of they want to tweak some balancing issues, work on the demolition and maps, and mess around with game modes, and try to make the player experience as polished as possible for their certain area that they're going at, which is that intense 5v5 cops versus robbers over the hostage combat that game has come to be ambitious for. And the reason I think Star Wars Battlefront 3 is going to be delayed is because they want to make sure that they live up to the Battlefront series, DICE's. And so, just as Hardline was delayed, I think that Battlefront is also have the ability, because of the because they do not want lack of attention on so many different items, and we don't actually know what the game looks like. So all we have is a trailer with a bunch of clips of pre-alpha footage and the developer talking about their ambition. So it's we don't really know where it's at. At E3, I think we'll hear something about those 3 games. Definitely about those 3 games. And so, some smaller games that the PlayStation 4 has going for them is Darkest Dungeon, Enter the Gungeon, Hyperlight Drifter, Gang Beasts, No Man's Sky, Night in the Woods, N++, Paperbound, The Banner Saga 1 and 2, Salt and Sanctuary, Skytorn, and Viking Squad. So, The Darkest Dungeon is a roguelike, and it's super solid. They already released a early build on PC, and Game Informer went about and reviewed that and gave it a very high score of, I believe it was 8 point some. It was in the 8s, I believe, or higher. And it's a really polished game already in the pre-alpha build. Well, not alpha, but in the pre-build to the final product. Enter the Gungeon. I've heard from many people that have tested this thoroughly at different conventions, how they feel like the mechanics are super solid with the random dropped loot, and it's just a roguelike progression game that could really catch on, like Rogue Legacy or Spelunky, something of that vein. Hyperlight Drifter is stylized. It kind of reminds me of Transistor, and in its art style and combat direction. And then there's Gang Beasts, which is a super silly, off the rails fight 'em up, where the main objective is to stay alive, and it's these bears and they're fighting, and it looks very, very goofy and abstract. No Man's Sky. There's a lot said about that with its polygon. It's super vibrant art direction, and its exploration, almost infinite exploration, with the procedurally generated open world, that with super polished HUD and storytelling with different mechanics, and how when you just see a new animal or you discover a new planet, and you're like, just the feeling of awe, and not many games go about that the same way that No Man's Sky, that Hello Games is doing with No Man's Sky. And Paperbound is a 4-player co-op fighter, like they brawl each other. 4-player It's a 2D brawler where the whole objective is using gravity to your advantage, and it's very interesting, and it's something to look into. N++ is a super rewarding and a platformer that is also super challenging, and that's worth a look. Salt and Sanctuary is 2D Dark Souls with a watercolor, hazy sort of finish, art style. That's enough said, plain and simple. Skytorn is a 2D Metroidvania-esque game with the sprite characters and all that bundled into a new thing with a new, should I say, genre that they're trying to make. And so now that I've went over why these games are good and worth a look, so Sony has a bunch set. This lineup is super solid for set. There's a key word, set for 2015. Now, if these games can come out in 2015, it will be a super great year. Now, that's where my worries come from, because of the fact that all these games are getting delayed, set back, and so if this list stays, and if Sony puts out these games and the developers make these games and put them out right on time, this year could be superb, and you'll have so much to do in the PlayStation 4 console. So that wraps it up for part 1 of this 2-part series. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want some more PlayStation 4 news, visit our website at Einstein's PlayStation Playground.wordpress.com. And you can also follow with email on our website. I'm your host, Isaac Miller, signing off.